My name is Shannon Petrie. This is Colorado Highway State 52, and it is one of the most deadly roads in Colorado. So many people have died on this highway, including my mom, Melody Petrie. She was killed December 20th, 2014, in a head-on car accident right along this stretch of Highway 52. The purpose behind what I'm doing is to bring awareness to the dangerous roads in the rural parts of Colorado. Out here, you're so desolate from everybody and everything. Granted, you see houses and a highway behind me, but after dark, it's like no man's land. You can travel for miles and not see a vehicle. It's really a dangerous road out here. So many people have died. I can't stress how horrible this road is. There's no police patrol. Well, there is, but it's slim to none. If somebody is broke down, your closest tow company is roughly 8 miles away. Your closest fire department is 3.5 miles to the east, or 8 miles northwest. You're in no man's land. I'm trying to bring awareness to the fact that this is the rural parts of Colorado. This is a very bad road. Even though it's marked as a passing zone right along this 2-mile stretch, people don't care. And when there's an accident out here, you bet the news is going to get their facts wrong. When my mom was killed, it was considered just a tragic accident. And from what the police reports told me and from what the investigating officer said, is that she just went into oncoming traffic. She was in a 2006 Saturn Ion 4-door sedan car. And she drifted in. She was going west into town, into Keensburg. And another vehicle of F-150 was Taragan. All my mom wanted to do was go get stuff to make spaghetti. I had tried getting rid of that car that day because I had a sinking feeling in my gut something was going to happen. I couldn't trade the car off. I worked for the railroad, and when I got home about 2:50, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, she asked me if she could borrow my car to go into Keensburg and get stuff for spaghetti. Yeah, Mom, go ahead. I never saw my mom again. The last time I seen her, I was identifying my car by my license plate number. I identified my mom's body by the top of her head and those 2 fingers. She had rings, rubies and diamonds on those fingers. That is how I identified my mom's body. That was the worst day of my life, was having to do that. And it was just a tragic accident. And where we are right now on Highway 52, granted we're down in the ditch and I'm wearing a reflective vest, because if you're broke down in these parts of the state or any state, wear something reflective. No matter what color you're in, people aren't going to see you. They see reflectives, they'll see you. And as you can see, the traffic coming up and going by me, most of them are not abiding by the 65-mile-an-hour speed limit. They're doing as they wish, and they don't care. Right after my mom was killed, right in this area, we're a little farther to the east than where my mom was killed. However, Right after, a week to the day, my mom was killed on a Saturday, so the Saturday after her accident, there's another accident up here. A semi-trailer, truck and trailer, had lost the rear axles on the trailer. Those rear axles caused the semi-truck to lose control. When he lost control, he almost came head-on with oncoming traffic. His trailer came to a stop back behind us a little bit. Actually, no, it would have been a little farther west, where his truck and trailer came to a stop. His rear axles on his semi went head-on with another car. And then there was another car that wrecked because of debris. My family and I lived 2.5 miles to the east of this spot. Now, we were coming home from dinner that night. We saw that accident and we stopped, made sure everybody was okay. There used to be a cross just a little farther to the west of me where I had my mom's memorial, where I had a cross set in the ground for her, but someone mowed her cross and her T-post over. So I decided, after doing some thinking, I removed her cross. I removed her roadside memorial. Reason being, yeah, people need to be aware that she was killed here, that people have died here. However, my son, her grandson, goes to school right up there, 2.5 miles from where his grandma was killed. I'm not going to put my son through the detriment of seeing her roadside memorial and the everyday reminder of her fatal day, the day that she became a guardian angel. I'm not going to remind my son of that at all. And I took it down. But the night that the semi-trailer lost his rear axles, that semi came to a stop. The front of the truck was feet from where my mom's roadside memorial was. The person in the vehicles that the rear axles had hit had asked me, whose cross was that where the semi is resting? Whose cross is that? I replied to them, that was my mom. My mom was killed a week ago, to the day, from this accident. I went and I checked on the semi driver. He was freaked out, but he was okay. The people in the other vehicles, thankfully, they were okay. Shooken up, a little beat up, but they were okay. Now, everybody understands that things happen, accidents happen. You always want to make sure when you're in a vehicle, your goal is to get from point A to point B alive. Get where you gotta go. Make sure you come home safely. Whether there's roadside memorials where someone has died or not, generally on every road, someone at some point in time, whether it's back from when vehicles were just invented and roads were not buggies and horses and buggies, there's always somewhere along the line where somebody has killed in some kind of an accident. You never know what fate's going to bring you. You never know what your destiny is going to be, whether you're going to live to see another day or whether you're going to go home. You don't ever want to drive unsafely. In my mom's accident, thankfully, the other people were wearing their seatbelts. So was my mom. My mom was crushed to death by a 2006 Saturn Ion. They had to use jaws of life and air jacks to extract my mom's body from my car. When I saw the car, oddly enough, I had become friends with the investigating state patrol officer. And he fair warned me what I was going to see in the car. He said, "Shannon, I'm going to fair warn you, there is a lot of blood. You asked me to tell you honestly what you were going to face upon arrival at the wrecking yard." Granted, it was 2 days after the fact, but what I saw is something I will never forget between the day I identified my mom's body to the day at the wrecking yard. Vehicles fly. They don't care about a speed limit. On this road in particular, it's 65 miles an hour. You get to the school zone, it drops to 55. You get closer to Prospect Valley, which is a ghost town. I mean, there's 2 running businesses there. There's a few houses, but there's no post office. There is a fire department, but they're all volunteer. The speed limit drops from 65 to 55 at the abandoned school to 50 going through town. You get just outside of town and it changes back to 65. It doesn't matter what somebody's hauling. It doesn't matter how big the vehicle, like that one. That's not 65 miles an hour. That's a lot faster. People do not obey the laws because there's not much patrol out here. State Patrol doesn't patrol out here. Weld County Sheriff doesn't hardly ever patrol out here. There used to be a state patrol that lived in Keensburg, or he lives in Keensburg now, but he used to live in Prospect Valley. He was my neighbor. You go off one of these lips on the highway, that's bad news. These lips alone on these highways will cause your car to flip. Where I'm standing now, is in a ditch. I've seen cars roll. I've seen cars lose it, misjudge a turn, and wind up in this irrigation ditch that's flowing right here, full of water. And the current in this, that's no joke. This water is running fast. You go down in that, you're going to damage the irrigation walls. That semi's hauling. But you're going to damage the concrete walls in the irrigation ditch, and your car is going to fill up with water. Not too far down the road. All of this out here is considered floodplain. When you're in a floodplain, that simply means it's subject to flood at any point in time when it's going to rain. So, I was coming home one night, and I grew up in the country. I grew up 12 miles south of civilization where I didn't even exist. Society didn't exist past a certain limit. And when you're living out there, you learn different ways of driving. It's not like pavement driving. I grew up on dirt roads. I was on my way home one night. CDOT had come out and closed Highway 52 down at County Road 61. And reason being, it flooded. There's an irrigation ditch that broke. There's also a reservoir over here. The dam broke because of all the water coming down. The dam breaking caused the irrigation ditches to overflow. When the irrigation ditches overflow, they have nowhere to go except for on the road. So CDOT came and closed the road down. They told me to take a detour to the east down the county road, so I did. I was in an Oldsmobile Achieva 2-door car. CDOT obviously hadn't been down the dirt road that he had sent me on. Well, there was standing water on the road. I drove halfway through it. Another dam broke. The water sideswiped my car. I had to get out of the car through the window. I had to tell my son to get on the trunk on the inside of the car, to stay up on the trunk part in the back window so I could go tell CDOT not to send anybody down that road. I walked up to my waist in floodwater, freezing cold in July, to tell CDOT to close the road so I could rescue my son and to please stop an oncoming vehicle to take me the rest of the way home. CDOT didn't offer to take me in his big old truck to go rescue my son, but I had to stop traffic in order to get it, in order to rescue my son. I didn't want another car coming and hitting it, so I waited out there, and I had a bright white shirt on, and that's what stopped traffic, was my bright white shirt. I waited. By this time, I was chest deep in floodwater. I waded back to my car. I got my cell phone. I got my son, and my son was on my shoulders with his feet tucked up under my arms so that I could save him from the waters because they were slowly rising. Eventually, I got back to Highway 52, and I was able to catch a ride from some strangers from Nebraska in a big old truck to get home. I called my neighbor that night. He had a lifted truck. It's the only time I've ever really liked a lifted vehicle. And this was before my mom's accident. But he brought his truck over to the house. I changed my clothes, and him and I went, and we pulled that car out. And him and I were both underwater, holding our breath, to hook a chain to that car so we could get it out, so we could free up the road. I didn't have first responders that night because they were busy everywhere else. Other parts of Highway 52, other parts of Keensburg, other parts of Highway 76, which is 9 miles north. Out here, you have nothing. You have no one. So please be careful when you're driving. Just because it looks clear doesn't mean it's clear. Just because the road says you can pass doesn't mean you should pass. Make sure all areas are cleared before you pass, because you can hit oncoming traffic, or oncoming traffic can hit you. It's horrible. And at night, you'd be lucky to be found. In a snowstorm, this does not exist. In the wintertime, the only time CDOT is really on the roads out here to plow in the wintertime is 12 miles west from Hudson, maybe to Highway 36 in Boulder. That's maybe how far they will go. Going east, CDOT doesn't know we exist. Out here, you get snow that's up to your waist. You get flash floods. You get ground blizzards. CDOT don't care. Unless part of the road is washed out, they don't care. You're not out here because their concentration is the massive highways. Like I-25 or Highway 76, Kersey Road, because Kersey Road is the connection between Keensburg and Kersey and Highway 36. Otherwise, you do not exist. If you don't have a four-wheel drive, and you don't know how to use it, don't leave your house. Stay home. Live to see another day. We're going to be going to different parts of the state, mainly in eastern Colorado, where civilization has become null and void. There are no fire departments. There are no search and rescues. There's nothing but farms. You might live to see another day if you crash. You might not.